Hello, this is George Sandman. I'm the founder and CEO of Growth Drive. And Growth Drive is a system used by business advisors to drive client profits, growth, and value. Now, we're also a community. Every week we get together to talk about all things business advisor, everything clients, cases, things we're seeing out in the world. Now, tune in here to this podcast, and you can join the conversation by scanning this QR code, passcode 867-5309. Jump into the conversation. Everyone's welcome. We're looking forward to having you. So here we go. On with the show.
Hey, good morning. Am I coming through loud and clear?
I can hear you great.
Okay. I've upgraded to my new computer, finally got everything switched over, and I've yet to come up with a perfect measure. So the good news, the bad news, and the great news. What's happening with you there, young man?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Pardon this interruption.
Hey, George made it back.
Blessings. How are you? Let me see. Let's go with some. These aren't quite powerful enough, but these are progressives, and I find myself by the end of the day.
Oh yeah. Well, if you stand and work, the progressives are bad. If you sit down like me, they're not bad until you get at the end of the day when you've been
At the end of the day, yeah, right here. That's I got a new watch and it's keeping time. All right. Hey, gentlemen, sorry, I totally interrupted. I bombed in here.
No, it's all good.
Man, Growth Drive is having a good, all I do is hold this up backwards. Growth Drive is having a good morning.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
more to follow. More to follow.
Hey, that's the important ingredient.
Speaking of which, I'm going
to... Is Sims SIMMS?
1 M. Sims with 2 M's is the fishing company.
Because the email rejected.
Mark, here, I'll tell you. Well, I'm not going to say it publicly. I'll send you a.
Okay. Yeah.
He and I email back and forth all the time. Yeah.
Because I sent him the thing requesting advertising materials for because a financial planner I'm going to meet with at the 24th. And then I'm going to be with my son in Chicago, and I was going to give it to him to take into his finance guy at the...
Heck yes, Madison Insurance Group. Anybody watching this, we're talking about the Madison Insurance Group. Ed and I were just out at their advisors conference in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona. I will be at their November event in Puerto Rico, and Ed and I had a great time. Made some really, really good connections. What a quality!
Oh,
I mean, they are like they. There's no overlap in business model, but the people they attract are is the same demographic as the people Growth Drive attract.
Oh, absolutely.
Experienced senior professionals. When I say senior, I don't mean, gray hair. I mean, senior level, A-list, badass, deeply experienced people. And it's fun. Being in a room with a bunch of winners is fun, right?
Oh, yeah, well, and the gentleman from Morgan Stanley that you talked with.
Yep. Yeah, there's and I reconnected. It's funny. It's a small world. Reconnected with some friends I haven't, like Ken Rumbaugh, that I haven't talked to in a long time. Speaking of which, Larry, you and I were on the phone last night, and we don't have to discuss the topic, but we managed to manifest, and the solution has happened. So, Paul, how are you, Paul?
I'm good. I'm awake. I have
representing the West Coast, ladies and gentlemen. East Coast, West Coast.
Paul, it's great to see your smiling face this morning.
Thank you. Hey, Paul, is that drought hitting you? I would say yes. It's not raining like it should be here, and I hate it because it means I have to water all my wife's plants, which I don't like. I would have none of them. I would have stones.
Wow. I thought everyone in your part of the world
we're into nature and embracing all aspects.
Hey, stones are part of nature, buddy. Okay.
Yeah. Nick Quilter,
agree.
ladies and gentlemen,
They've got the memo.
they're
It's
not
true.
alive.
I was just
Yeah.
reading my morning meditation. They picked him up and threw him at Paul. You know, they stoned him. So
Right.
they've been around for a long time.
Stephen too.
Yeah.
We had so we had our, without getting into the deets, but we had an not organizational. We had our first summit 2026 planning committee. That's a mouthful. Committee
wins,
meeting. The only
right?
committee we have
Wins,
yesterday,
right?
and Mike and Larry and Eric were on it.
And
Good
Eric.
morning, gentlemen.
Mr. Owen.
You guys excited for at least for the discussion?
Well, we'll see. I mean, we've definitely got the contention part down.
We get
Because I went right back at one of the comments, so we'll see how it.
Did you? I have not had a chance to check
I
it
don't
out.
know how that could possibly occur with Mike. I mean, he's so amicable and easygoing.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ed, can you believe that Mike was a little bit contentious?
I would
It's
never
the a little
agree.
bit part.
With my second love, Andy Weevil. So I pushed back on Andy.
Yeah, was it my comment you went after or someone else?
No, it was number 2.
Number 2.
I fundamentally disagreed with.
So fundamentally, though, what we decided, and I think it was unanimous, right? By unanimous decision, or ding, 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 we went with, last year was very community, right? This year is going to be product, right? What does each session produce? What help the assembled produce? So
we decided our theme was going to be great.
I'm sorry.
Great.
Be great.
Or be a great. Or be a great.
Well, you know,
I do accept licensing fees.
Topic.
Rick Johnson. All right, we've got a great attendance this week.
Yeah.
It's always a great attendance.
Hey, George, and my one comment still stands that I made I made several comments, but the one I was most adamant about is we got to make sure that we keep the focus on people, right? It is going to be very easy as a bunch of technicians and product based to get focused on too much on the technical, and we got to keep the focus on people. That's a tight balance when we go down the product. I agree with the product avenue. I just think we got to keep the people focus.
100% agree, Eric. And when I say product, I think we made it or I understand it in the context of produce.
Yeah.
So after completing this, so we're doing half day chunks. And after this half day, you will be able to produce. And producing can be a relationship. Producing can be producing as a number of, but
I think the word product,
wickedly
we all know what the word product was. Those of us who are on the call, I just think that can be confusing. And again, as technicians, we tend to lean in to the stuff more than the people.
Well, and hell yes. And I'll just, frame it out. We're talking produce. Those of you who have participated in C3D, the 5 P's of preparation, what must this produce is one of the P's. And that's the produce we're focusing on.
Mr. Quilter, jump in.
What is the product?
You are the product. If you don't know what the product is, you are the product.
Oh, great.
Amen.
Thank
brother.
you. That's right.
Tim,
I thought if it was free, I was the product.
You Alan at Wesson.
You know what, George, you make a good point, and Eric, the product is a technical term for preparing a facilitative event like our summit. And really the product is, what are we doing as driving a particular outcome for the flow overall and any individual session, where last year was more about the experience together to think through problems, to collaborate. And we want to be more specific this year and intentional in the different meeting sessions to have a learning objective at the end. And so if we could tie it to a case and it flows through, we could still, in doing that specific learning sessions together, there will still be a strong community and a strong interpersonal interaction. That won't go away.
Yeah.
I'm not, George, I'm not concerned about it. We'll balance in this community in preparation. We'll balance the fact that there will be a product orientation, sessions that have specific outcomes by design, but there will also be a very strong community engagement in getting there.
Yeah, within
So
it.
the
Yes.
so the product is the case.
The product is an actual skill set or process that you can take with you to apply for your customers afterwards. So help you build, hey, Tip, you don't really know how to do this thing. You kind of know some of the pieces. At the end, you're going to know how to deliver this thing and give it to somebody else.
Okay, so it's a process.
Immersive qualitative learning.
Yeah. So to be very specific, and it's a good question because you're testing us in some ways by asking, make sure it's language that's understood, is that we are flowing through what we experience, which is we have to sell to get clients. There's a process of having a client say yes. What's that process? What is it? Specific examples we could get better in learning the process of how do we get a client. Now we transition. It's a yes. There's some project that is approved in writing. We're starting an engagement. Now that we have an engagement, what does the beginning of that engagement look like? What are the specific things all wrapped around strategic capacity and all the elements that make us different, great, unique in our community? Now we got the engagement. How do we then make that engagement successful? How then do we then make it sustainable? How then do we collaborate to extend the reach of that in the community with each other? So that flow through the 3 days is intentional, it's specific, it has outcomes that we seek, but the execution of us getting there, it will be highly collaborative and community focused.
That's what we do. Heck yes.
I think the beauty of this thing, Tip, and for everyone that wasn't in that community, is everyone that's going to be there at the summit, and some people regrettably that won't be there, right? Because our community is never fully present, right? Everyone has an aspect of a growth drive engagement. When you look at the breadth of it, like before the business owner even thinks about hiring a consultant, all the way to successful exit, and they're 5 years into legacy and different generations are experiencing the benefit. But every single growth driver has an area of expertise or a place in that they fit. And we're looking at how can we take that entire process, increase skill as a through line, right?
Yes.
And the beauty is, and George came up with this, right? The beauty of this process is it's going to be technical, meaning the goal is demonstrable increase in skill for any growth driver that participates, including anyone that's teaching it. And nobody's been assigned teaching slots yet.
No.
Right?
Yep, that's correct.
But the other beauty is this, and it's to Eric's, and this is to Eric's point, and he has my proxy on this. I am behind him with a machine gun, not aimed at Eric, aimed at everyone else. But like the people part is when we break into community to execute and develop that skill together. That's where we win. And then Eric, just to tee you up, the other thing that I think is really important that I was hearing in that meeting is an emphasis on how do we have effective conversations with the clients? So the growth drive work is not just dimension 1, dimension 2, dimension 3. It's the conversation to move that client between the dimensions effectively. The conversations when they're having a bad time, or am I on the right track, Eric?
Yeah, absolutely. When I say people, I mean the broader sense of people. I don't just mean, hey, do we have some hand holding time and sing kumbaya and feel good about each other?
Hey, that was good at your house, though. That was
That
good.
is good time, and I like that time. I like having breaking bread with people and just building relationship. That's excellent time. I'm talking about we as technicians, we tend to think in terms of the specific technical delivery of our tool. And we don't think about how does it's the exact conversation we're having right now with some people who were in that conversation yesterday and some weren't.
Yes.
And they aren't understanding what we're saying because we're using technical terms that we made up and they don't understand what the product means, right? And we do this all the frickin' time as technicians, right?
Larry made the terms up.
Yeah, I'm not criticizing the terms. I'm not criticizing our process. I'm criticizing that the communication and how we go about taking what we did and then turning it into something that comes back to the who we serve and who we serve with. That's critically important, guys. And it's if we miss that part, we're missing a huge part of what makes us valuable. That's all. That's and again, I know we all know that to some extent. I just feel like sometimes we got to beat that drum because we all have a natural tendency to get into our technical ruts, right?
I would suggest listening to all of you since I wasn't on this call and I'm one of those people that doesn't go to the summit for a variety of reasons. But the same issue happens when we start working with a client's people because they have the same thing. You get a one-on-one conversation with the CEO, you get him figured out, and he figures out what you're talking about. And now there's still 50 to 150 people who don't have a crap idea of what you're talking about.
Yeah, that is exactly right, Paul. And you're making my point 100%, right? We got to be careful that we don't sit in our rut and get siloed. And I've gotten passed off to oh, you go talk to the CFO. Well, no. We're working on strategic stuff here. There happens to be a discussion about finance, but we're talking about strategic stuff here. We need all the people in the room. They need to all understand what the financial impact of this, not just the CFO, right?
What I love is what we're talking about here is the integrated strategic capacity doctrine, right?
Yeah, it is.
This is which is
It aligns with our mission, George,
hell yes.
for sure. I think it's easy to get distracted from the holistic nature of it because of the technical aspect. That's all. That's
Yes. And so that is that. Now, Eric, what you've done is you've delved deeper into when we form the actual sessions.
Yeah.
How do we language that? What are the words we choose so that along that flow, that throughput, Mike, as you were saying, that through line of what we're trying to achieve, what are the words we use so that the owner says, okay, got it. I will have the CFO. I will have a silent partner. I will have whoever needs to be at the table we deem there. What are the words we use? The confidence, the idea of a summit is for people to leave with more confidence. Knowledge begets confidence. Confidence in what? Winning engagements, seeing engagements through, collaborating, confidence. That's what we're really trying to achieve. How do you get confidence? We share it, we learn, we share, but also we learn the words we need to use to go from here to there and how to phrase them, how to engage, what questions to ask. And that's a part of what we'll be doing. Built in, guaranteed, no matter what language we had chose yesterday on the call, there will be engagement, there will be community, there will be relationship building. It's guaranteed will happen.
And
for sure.
At the end of it, Paul, like my goal for this entire thing is to create a product, not something you pay for necessarily, George, but like something that even if you weren't able to attend, that you could actually participate and benefit from with some potential interactive stuff. So we want to create something that's interactive that lives on, Paul, after this.
And we're integrating, as you all know, we're integrating AI notes as a data source into Clarity, and I can't help but wonder if imagine there being a Plod at each table. I don't know if Plod can pick up with the hubbub, but imagine if we could record each of those individual working sessions and collect all of that wisdom and experience, and share it, right? Share it to the benefit of Paul. We're going to use it as our stalking horse. Share it with Paul, right?
Yeah.
No.
Paul counts.
Share implies it's free. I would pay. And you should expect that somebody joining the community would pay for access to that material.
100%. Stay tuned, Paul. Stay tuned.
Rick.
No, I think Paul's got
yeah.
I think Paul's got a very good
by the way,
point.
Paul, thank you. It's equitable.
I think Paul's got a very, very good point because, one of the things about it is it's it costs money to go to the summit.
Yeah.
It costs money to get there. It costs money to stay. Mike Garrison costs a lot of money. And then, the last thing that I would say is that, one thing that I heard recently is, that you were sharing, George, is, these coffee clutches, you say you put them up on YouTube. I mean, isn't that universal access?
Not for long, my friend.
Good. Okay. Then my problem is solved. But that's to Paul's point. If we're creating this value, we need to make sure that, that value and participation is shared.
That we price it.
So,
hey, Rick, what do you think?
I concur. I think
first and then Rick.
Yeah, I think we need to be following somewhat of the idea of the recognize that people that participate and involved in the Coffee Klatsch and are really using the product consistently. We come up with ideas and creative methodologies and communications differentiations that help our clients stay tuned to us and say, wow, I never thought about that. I didn't even understand that. Boy, I'm shocked that you could see that much with just a little questionnaire and interviewing me. And as Paul said, and Tip reminded, we can't have that open to everybody.
Rick, two comments. Are we talking about the summit that's going to be in October?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay. That's great. I want to share a quick example of something I came across last week. When you go through Growth Drive and you see where things need to be improved, it's easy for me to jump in and discuss, as Mike Garrison would say, with abandon, about accounting issues, stuff that I can put on a Excel spreadsheet, that type stuff. We got into a conversation and it's the client CEO is ready to start delegating to staff, but she doesn't have the staff. That is an area where I can agree with her and say it will help. That's an area I have no idea how to jump into with any authority. And it also led to one of her staff needs to be replaced. So when I get into those human resource personnel issues, that is something that's completely out of my comfort zone. But it's a big piece of Growth Drive.
Yeah. And Rick, I'd be happy to make an introduction. One of our own, Jeff Ketchum, is a certified specialist, the precursor to C3D. Jeff is a great guy, and this is his, I'm sure, a conversation. I'm confident that a conversation might be valuable. So he's in the community. You can DM him from the community. His name's Jeff Ketchum.
Ketchum, like paid Idaho. Member?
I'm sorry?
Is he a paid member?
He is.
C3D?
He is not a C3D. He is a certified growth specialist, precursor to C3D.
Yeah, Jeff was very involved for a number of years.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
So Rick, I'm glad you brought that up. That is, did you put that in circle and did I miss it? If you put it
No,
in circle?
I didn't. I didn't.
Okay. Cause I just want to encourage you. That's something that is a perfect use case for circle because number one, the active people are in there, right?
Yes.
And it might be one of the, so like, I think there's two components to what you're talking about, Rick. Two components to it. Number one is being able to have a level of comfort with how to have that collaborative conversation, right?
Mhm.
There's some work that you need to do. I can help you some if you want to have a call, please, no worries. I'm looking at everyone else here. They'd be able to walk you through it. So there's the conversation about how you introduce the outside person or you get to the point where your client wants you to, right?
Right.
Then there's the actual vetting and introducing that person and then making sure they don't wreck your car, right?
Right.
I don't know Jeff. I don't know Jeff, but if George vouches for him, that's all that's needed. But that would be there's two components to that. I'm very confident that both will be further looked at the summit in Charleston because it's on George's agenda.
Okay.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Mm.
God bless you.
So, hey, I got something real quick. Thanks to everyone that offered to help with the book launch. I really appreciate it. More information's coming. It's pretty exciting. I
Awesome.
really appreciate it.
The book, Mike, as I told you, there were a couple of sections that actually moved me to tears. And it was really well done, man. I wasn't bawling, but I was sitting in my seat like, it was really a couple of touching moments. Well, they really hit home for me personally. And they may hit home differently for other people, but Mike captures some of the conversations, some of the private conversations that are deeply important and deeply emotional, right? Larry Prince, we are emotional creatures, and Mike captures it in a way that really delivers, right? And I found myself was reading it on my iPad. Don't judge, and but made me put down the iPad and really think about, honestly, how blessed and how grateful I am uh, for many of the things in my life. Some of the things I'd rather not, but for many of the things in my life. So always working. Gratitude.
Beauty doesn't exist without ugliness.
Yeah, we all context. Where is it? There, project context. Where's Mr. Filter? Yeah, man. So
what's new and exciting? What's challenging and daunting?
it's exciting. I'm going to jump in. So Andy Weevil, Andy and I are the poor man has a brain that works like mine, but we have a very, we think very similarly. And Andy, to his great and eternal credit, AI, and this is something that you will see play out at the summit. Andy created the first draft, and I have been working on two resources. One is a new white paper that goes to bringing efficiency to the private capital markets. It's really good. I thought it would take me a couple of hours. It's helped me to evolve my thinking. The other is about AI and not how to create AI. I don't think any of us really should be doing that other than as side projects, so little apps and bots. But where does AI fit inside a business? And when we look at artificial intelligence, LLM, the efficiency that it brings, and we look at the 24 growth driving objectives, does AI apply equally across all of them? Hint, no. Okay, well, there are three lenses through which to look at it. There is what is human only. And of course, AI can help with research and stuff, but really human led. That's 12 of the growth driving objectives. What is human and AI? Teresa Galino, ladies and gentlemen, what is human and AI, right? And where can the two integrated strategic capacity doctrine, right? And then what of the growth driving objectives could be run here within the next 18 months or so by by AI that does things. And when I say
Primarily by
does things,
AI.
generates
Yep.
a result. And that's a fascinating way when your client says, I don't even know where, or, what they're going to do is the same. My guess is they're going to do the same thing we all do. And they're just going to turn on the hose and try to apply, they're going to try to spray paint AI all over the business. And that is not structured. That is not what we do as planners. And it is probably not efficient. So that is a fascinating, if we think about an XY axis with the human impact on, on the Y and the machine on the X, where do our 24 growth driving objectives fit into that matrix? Stinking fascinating. And right on. So it allows us to facilitate a conversation for our client about not doing AI, but where, as an advisor, do we advise that they invest resources, time, and treasure to implement AI in a way that is going to be meaningfully impact top line, bottom line, cash flow, etc. So that is some exciting work.
Let me throw something out, especially since we have the recovering lawyer, George, there. Um, I'm part of a large trade association in the trucking industry. It's the parent is the American Trucking Association, and then there's something called the Technology and Maintenance Council that I've been a member of for 35 years or some strange big number. I have a client that has a new product, and I went into the meeting in March with the idea that I was going to propose a couple of new task forces to investigate a new topic. To my surprise, at that particular meeting, every session that we had, and there are probably 40 task forces developing recommendations in all kinds of areas: how to select tires, how to run tires, how to bolt them down, how to deal with your engine, how to diagnose all kinds of things. And in addition to the antitrust document at the beginning of every meeting, they had a new legalese developed by the legal department saying you can't use AI for any of these recommended practices. And so I said, well, wait a minute. This is saving me all kinds of money for doing research. Can I at least do research if I then just change it before I put it into the recommended practice? And they said, no, you can't even do that because you might run across a copyright issue in the process and we could get sued. So and I said, well, you at least have the option of making it private. You've got this big, book of 30 years of recommended practices from all these volunteers, and you're making me search through them by keywords right now. And I had to do that for my client, went through 20 different documents to find out if they made sound and stuff. And I was just flabbergasted. I ended up not proposing to do a task force because I was not going to be limited that way, and I'll figure out a way to do it on my own without this trade association that I've been an achieved member for many years. So there's a place for an organization like that to actually be doing its own AI, I think. But this legal thing was brand new to me. They're scared as heck.
Yeah, I think
Fascinating.
I think that will be a rapidly emerging strategy for legacy institutions like legal and other places, and you'll see it in consulting as well. Trying to create some kind of a moat, some kind of a regulatory or
Okay.
thing just to say no, and it's going to happen inside of companies too. I think, Paul. I think you're going to have stakeholders inside companies that
Well,
are.
As you
it's
said, that
happening right now go ahead, Paul. Yeah.
a lot of us, not necessarily all, have professional liability insurance so that if we say something and they act on it, we are not held liable. We might have to have a new professional liability insurance that says anything that was generated via AI is, handled separately, and you are still responsible for making a final decision, not us.
Is Madison selling that yet?
But I think there's two issues here. One issue that's clearly out there is we're coming out of the knowledge economy and into this AI economy, and everybody's still trying to protect their sandbox full of knowledge. They all have this sandbox that made them differential because they had this pile of knowledge that they had accumulated that somehow was worthwhile and provided them revenue sources and other things, and they're all trying to keep put a fence up around their sandbox, and that's what you just saw, right? And that's going to last for a little while, but the aspect that knowledge is what makes you better, unless it's true intellectual property, just the accumulation of knowledge isn't going to last a long time.
I'd say it goes beyond knowledge, because look at what's in the news the last week with AI providing guidance on how to do suicide, how to build bombs, how to assassinate people and things.
Well, and this is the other part of it that I was going to hit on. And this goes back to what we've been watching with Tesla, right? Tesla cars have caused accidents because they've been on auto drive, or don't quote me on the actual name of it, but auto driving capability, right? Autopilot, right? And so, the question becomes, if you have and Tesla's working on their trucks that are going to drive down the road, right? And there's all this technology. Now, if you have a driverless vehicle going down the road, right, there's no longer a driver to accuse for being negligent. Who is negligent when this vehicle, or again, when AI creates this? Is it the AI, or the technology? Is it the person who owns the truck? Is it right? Like, this is going to be another thing that we're going to have to sort out. And as typical, the legal part of it isn't keeping up with the technology, right? And so
in my world, and I'm sure in your world too, when you start talking factory automation, it goes back to the vendor, the company that created it.
well,
Or
of course it does, because
whatever.
there's deep pockets there,
Absolutely.
right? And
Yeah, the deep pockets theory.
yeah, there's the deep pockets there, but there's also to your point, Paul, there's the engineering thought of, well, somebody created this technology, let's point at them because they're the source of the problem. Well, hang on a second.
They're part of that company, and it's the company that gets
right.
sued.
There's a famous legal precedent on somebody picking up a lawnmower, putting their fingers under the lawnmower and picking it up to trim their hedges, right? Who's wrong? Was it the creator of the lawnmower that was wrong for creating the lawnmower, or was it the person picking it up to trim their hedges with, using it for a use it isn't designated for? Who made the mistake there? Right.
And the answer was the company didn't put a warning on the
the answer,
telling them don't do that.
And so then they did, and now whose fault is it?
And I'm sure Mr. Garrison will say you can't solve stupid.
Well, no, I say that's natural selection, but like, it's the legal industrial complex, right? Like, but it's like you have these industries that have been created that are really vulnerable to AI, but they are like, I think initially you had this onslaught, right? And you've seen all this money be made through AI, but I think the pushback is really coming. I'm seeing it come from environmental things like Paul raised, stuff like that, and legal. I think you're going to have, I don't think it's going to work, but the battle has not been, the war has not been won yet.
Well, and again, right to that point, Mike, look at automation in U.S. shipping docks, and look at automation in Asian shipping docks. Highly automated in Asian shipping docks, not as highly automated in U.S. shipping docks. Why is that? Because the automation doesn't work? I don't think so.
That goes back to the original discussion. It's all about people and unions.
Will you just throw unions in there?
I did, because it's the longshoreman that is preventing automation to be put in at the
in that case,
ports.
in that example, that one example of all the ones we just talked about, that one happens to be driven by unions not allowing it to come in. And they won't sign union contracts unless there's a clause in there that says that they can't put in automation.
Yeah, but you got
certain automation.
You got unofficial.
So where are we
in most companies, right?
So my bigger point, Tip, is that we have to think about the implications of the technology, and like I said, I bifurcated the point that Paul was making between the protection of the the perceived value of the knowledge that they had, and the legal aspects of people deciding, using legal roles to decide whether we can use knowledge a certain way.
Mr. Garrison stopped him by raising his hand officially.
All right. So
I have a client. It's a $130 million business. Those of you in this peer study group that Barry leads will be the case study this month. And Tom, who's also in my CEO peer group, put forward a challenge that he's trying to think through. And that is that he has shut down use of AI for his company.
Yeah.
Officially. And the reason is not until we have a policy, which he already now has after 1 month, because peers in the group, one guy's a AI thought leader in a different industry. So now he has a policy. He is now training everyone. They're going to sign off and be certified. And then fourth is how they are going to embrace AI officially, rather than just people randomly using it. He has hundreds of employees. And so he wants to make sure it is used for the good, but used in a way that is controlled, and set a policy in writing that people get certified on. He says, I have too much to lose. I have more to lose right now in his mind than I have to gain by its use. Now, he already has a few key people in management using it for specific problem solving, but we're talking about across the whole organization.
Broad use. Yep.
Yeah.
Mike.
So I'm taking us a completely different direction, right? And it's by the way, and the reason, Larry, is that was a great wrap up. I think you combine that with Andy's the LinkedIn newsletter he just posted today. I think you got something interesting for that case you were talking about, Larry. But I want to talk about personal planning. And the reason is because it was kind of the big theme. It was the first time I've seen it on the main stage at the Exit Plan Institute summit. And I really want to ask those of you that have worked with clients, and I really like that we've got a broad, like I know the different focus areas that we have on this Zoom. It's really exciting for me. How much do you feel that the willingness of the owner to grow personally, the willingness of the owner to evolve as a leader, the willingness of the owner to get in better physical condition, to create better relationships outside the business, to learn how like, so, and by the way, not to bury it, I've got a new system based upon Finish for the Sprint that I've developed, and I'm testing myself with my clients right now, a measurable way of doing personal planning. But how are you guys experiencing it? Have you noticed it? And just to key it off, I'm thinking of a client that I really enjoyed. He's no longer a client, but we got to a point where when we started, I was like, this is the greatest owner I've ever worked with. He's unbelievable. He wants to learn. And what I discovered is he is in the tail of the sower, he's planting lots of seeds in very thin soil, right? And so I watched a team, the leadership team and the team at large, become more and more fatigued at this rapid change of different ideas. Like literally went through 40 books with his team in 1 year. Right? So where have you guys seen this, for good, for bad, this personal plan, this personal aspect of the owner play out? Tip. You were shaking your head, nodding your head.
Yeah, I was nodding because I completely agree with you. It's like, what type of people are in our target market? And like people who are in our target market are open-minded, coachable people who are investing in themselves. Otherwise, they've got it all figured out. They don't need anybody. Just ask them. So, the reason I was nodding was that it's always been my challenge with business development is how do I screen for that? And as you know, in my process that you've helped me develop, Mike, I mean, now I'm setting up hurdles to make sure that they actually want it. Does that make sense? I'm sorry.
It does.
Yeah.
George.
No.
I mean, because I can't account for whether they are willing to grow as leaders or whether this is just the latest kind of
Well, I've changed.
exit is the latest kind of easy con job they heard about in their Vistage group.
So I've completely changed my intake process. I mean, radically changed it since the summit, Eric. I've completely changed. You would love it because it's all people. You know what I mean? It's that thing. But like we get to numbers and crap like that second.
Yeah. So as an example of this, on my intake, I was introduced 3 or 4 years ago to a business owner, and he owned a office furniture distributor, and he had a daughter in the business, and we were talking about the daughter moving into the ownership and him passing his ownership to her, and in this just first discussion with a banker who was introducing me, I asked him, so, what's your plan on the daughter? What's her management team going to look like? And his first answer threw me for a loop because he said, well, I've already got a management team. She can use the one I have. And so that's not a good answer.
Right.
Right. For all kinds of reasons. And I could get into that, but I think we all understand. So then I asked, well, that's really interesting. And how are you gonna help her with the transition? And he said, well, no. I'm gonna hang around a lot, and I'm gonna do this and this and this. And I said, that's not a good answer.
That's
And then the third question I asked him in this interview process is, so, tell me about your plans as you transition out. What are you going to be doing? What are your interests? What have you got planned for the second half? Right. And I use that term, second half, like, hey, you're in the game. The game's first half is over. Now what's the second half look like? Right. And not the game is over. Now what are you going to do? It's the second half of the game. What are you going to do? And his answer was the typical kind of, I'm going to play some more golf and go fishing more. And I said, that's 3 strikes, you're out. I can't really help you with the things you want to do technically until you're ready to be helped on the personal side, because if you're not, we're not going to, I could do all the kinds of technical things for you and we won't have any success.
Yeah. Hey, Teresa, I know that you've seen this.
What? I'm laughing at something in my head. Go ahead. What?
No, I said, I know you've seen this play out.
Oh, yes. Sorry. I was in Modern Family with Jay Pritchett hanging out at Claire's work at business because he didn't have a retirement plan. So, yes. Sorry. I was just stuck in the Modern Family scene of where Jay goes to work with Claire every day. So, yes, there is physicians that I think actually suffer through depression and anxiety post-transition. So I'll say, looking back the last 3 years with physicians that were eager to sell their practice post-COVID, they didn't think through that longer strategy. So I have a person, and, this is public, so I'll just say, like, an example, they could be Harvard trained, Mayo Clinic trained, like real deep experts in their field doing what they do for 30 years, and just say, okay, now it's time to get that big dollar out, right? But then they didn't think about post-transition. And so they're suffering. They really don't know what to do when they get up every day and what their priorities are
Yeah,
for
they feel like an
themselves.
empty suit now, right?
Right.
100%.
It's like that Die with
100%.
Zero, George, that thing that you and I talked about last week, that Die with Zero book,
Yep.
right? From financial advisors. This is something that I think is our opportunity. It's use dimension 1 to drive dimension 3, personal growth, right? So while you've got cash flow and net profit, build yourself too, right? And don't try and do it. You know, I, I'm just telling you, you can't always pick your exit.
Teresa, to your point, 75% of people who exit are profoundly unhappy with their exit. That's the statistics.
That's the ones that sell.
That's right.
That doesn't count the ones that fail, because you got what, 82% don't successfully transition.
Well, I pretty much guarantee that the ones who get a health problem or a divorce or whatever, one of the 5 Ds that caused them to exit probably aren't happy with the way the exit went either.
Oh yeah,
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So anybody else, Paul, have you worked with some clients like this?
I have one right now that I almost had a contract with, but his uh, profits right now have sunk terribly. He's gone from $1 million EBITDA to less than break even in 2 years. Um, so he took his eye off the ball along the way. Uh, One of the things that talking about people though, and incoming questions and things, and whether they're willing to change. How often do we run across somebody who is still stuck where all the decisions are being made with that person? He's not willing to delegate. He's obviously not willing to learn. So there's a problem.
Yes.
He's completely centralized in his mind as well as the business.
As well as personal, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I'm consumed with right now, because Would You Build This is about having a conversation that's only available to you if you're self-aware. It's only available if you already are uncomfortable, like self-aware enough to be uncomfortable with your current business. But now I'm diving into how do we de-risk and decentralize and grow on the personal side in a way that a business owner won't go, "Oh my God, you're a rent-a-friend life coach. I'm out of here."
Well, it's interesting. This all comes back to, I mean, not all comes back, but wisdom is is the thing. It's our touchstone, right? That's what we bring. We bring knowledge, but we need wisdom. And the
Wisdom's
wisdom,
better.
and it's hard to get someone like Paul's example. Paul, this person may hear the words you're saying and may even consciously understand them as wise. Um, Now we get into ready, willing, and able, right? And how does that play out? Um,
I will say that I believe that this particular type of work, because I've been a coach for 30 plus years,
you
right?
are a rent-a-friend.
Oh, totally. But high rent and high maintenance, right? It's a bad
Can I
combination.
borrow your car?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know it works for your industry, but I think that this particular aspect of driving growth requires really courageous boldness com with vulnerability. Like, it's not a personality driven thing, but I believe that we can get more business owners to open up if we will be more direct, but if we open our hearts while we're doing it. So no matter what your personality is, if you're really gentle and indirect like me, or if you're abrasive, like, people
Eric.
from Detroit, Troy, Michigan specifically. But like, but I think that if you lead with a heart, if you lead with your personal story, if you're vulnerable and you're direct, you can save more. George.
The growth conversation, right? The growth conversation. And Mike, I took your advice to heart. Mike looked at the one-page strategy planner and says, "Yeah, but it's plastic." You didn't use the word plastic, but it's very formulaic. And
I was
so
very compassionate.
so I have rebuilt it as the who am I, what am I building? Right? which is, I think, is much more in line with the growth conversation. Who am I? What am I building? Who's going to help me get me there? What happens if I don't get there? Right. Very important part of the conversation. Thank you, Mr. Roberge. And then let's start thinking about the scope of work that we'll need to do in the first year. One other comment about Paul. Paul, you made me think of this. And Teresa, something you said, this may not apply as much to physicians, but think about someone who's built a very successful manufacturing firm, professional services firm. They sell it, they cash out. Look at all of us. We invariably turn to an encore career, right? A second act, the second half, as Eric calls it. And that encore career can be as a growth driver, right? Those people bring a ton of experience, expertise, and that can become part of their legacy. So I'll get off my rant, but you have a client who's like, I don't know what I would do. Be like, well, join us, man. Come on in. The water's warm. You are going to get profound fulfillment from sharing all of the great wisdom that you have gained in the school of hard knocks, the same school that we all attended, right?
And Mike,
George,
done. Does that make sense?
I'm sorry. Hey, George, I'm going to speak up to this, and it's more for Growth Drive. I had a team of tech guys that I was working through that had taken their step from CTO to COO and CTO to CEO. Big jumps, right?
Yeah.
I advise them, if they get engaged with Growth Drive and they really understand the tools and the methodologies that I'm putting them through, they should add that as a revenue line advisory, because every single client that they go to work on is trying to grow the value. So why wouldn't they do it through a Growth Drive strategy? There you go. So that is something to me that adds a line
That's really
of revenue.
interesting, Teresa.
But adding that all the way at the top of your funnel is seeing this as an investment, but it's also that they can add that in the ROI eventually as they become experts in it, especially your senior leadership team, when they get panicked about what are they going to do post exit. So
and Teresa, to tie into
all the way up.
What you're saying, Teresa, and Mike, thanks for bringing this back up, because it comes full circle to what we were talking about at the start about having the people part in the, not just the technical part, because somebody goes from a CTO or a CFO to a CEO, it's easy to keep leaning on your technical expertise and not do the people part that's required for the leadership. This is what I'm hitting on the people part, is we have a hard time not just using what got us here instead of what's going to get us there.
And say it, Larry. What got me here?
Yeah, no, it's I got it from Ed.
That's a lot of times.
And Eric, man, your point's a good one. And Teresa, this might be helpful. Go and look at the leadership tab inside Clarity.
Yeah.
Where we allocate primary accountability across 4 executive areas: executive, financial, operations, and revenue. And someone who's moving from financial into executive, that is great. You cannot now be accountable for 14 growth driving objectives.
Yes, this is the problem. You bring your job along.
Yep.
Yeah. Ed, you're famous for what got us here won't get us there. The one I have is there is no change without emotion. So a lot of what we're talking about is holding the type of conversation that in a style and a fashion that gets our prospect or our client or even longstanding client to emote in some fashion. That's our opportunity. When they emote, we have opportunity.
Talk more, Larry. Say more.
Deep. Well, what we forget is, even though they're business owners or CEOs, they're human beings. And every human being has something inside of them, whether it's on the continuum, imposter syndrome, all the way on the other end is overconfidence. There is an emotion that we have to identify. When we identify it, it doesn't matter in the moment. Our tools, strategic capacity, our financial capability, all of that are tools in our tool bag that will help us deal with that emotion. And so my job in discovery is find that emotion.
Yeah.
I was a business owner yesterday. She's kicking butt. She built a $45 million business in the furniture, healthcare and government furniture She is kicking butt. And she said, I really don't have an interest in your CEO peer group. I'm kicking butt. I don't need it. And you know what? By the end, she says, when are we meeting? Why? All I did was two things. One is the pride. Tell me about what your pride, what is your source of pride? Because I could hear what is that? What do you do best? What is it that once in a while you say, I'm not sure. What is that?
Exactly.
What is that emotion that in you? What doubts does it create? And these people are hungry for these conversations. And if they're not going to be our client.
Right? And this goes to qualifying, right? Mike, sales. Larry is talking about someone who's qualified. Paul is talking about someone who may be disqualifying themselves.
Yeah.
Fantastic, guys. Thank you.
But George, what I love about this is in your process where you laid out the 4 stages that we were going to go through in the summit, this human side, this people side applies to all 4, not just the sales side. It is important in the sales part for sure, but we got to carry it through all of it and this is what I meant by careful that we become too technical and focused on the tax strategy only, or whatever that technical thing is that we're doing, and we lose the people side of it while we're trying to deliver.
100%. Tip, are you about to give a question or our first key takeaway?
No, I just want to share with what Eric just said is behind every one of these owners, like Larry said, is a human being, and they had their own goals for their own reasons. And if you don't spend time trying to uncover that at a very, very base emotional level, like, you're going to miss the whole thing. Yeah. The rest of it's just, that's the Christmas tree. The rest of it's just a bunch of ornaments and tinsel.
Superficial.
So
Love it.
Yeah, well, not just superficial. It's important in some ways, but it's not the main reason they're doing what they're doing.
Well, and you'll be sabotaged if you don't. Takeaway. What's your takeaway?
Just, you're all brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. This is great.
Pass it.
Pass it to Rick.
This is what I've learned in my career. It's kind of blunt. Everybody is going through their own shit until you share some of your own shit. They're not going to open up.
Yeah.
Good one, Eric. Who are you going to toss it to? That goes straight to emotion. Who are you tossing it to?
Eric.
Yeah, I really liked the middle of our discussion and just the back and forth. I liked all the parts of our discussion, but I liked the path you took us down, Mike. Just kind of back to how do we your some of the elements of your new book, and I'm interested to read it. That was my takeaway. I liked some of the things you were touching on. So that was good. Paul.
There's a good reason I get up a half hour to an hour early on Tuesdays. This is always an exciting, invigorating conversation. And I would say, going back to Tip's first thing in the chat, language, getting everybody on a common language to not just the owner, but the rest of the people in the organization is really tough and important. So I will pass to Mr. Wansky.
Yeah, the thing I think that I'd like to focus on is, and picked up again, is getting emotional understanding and grasp of a prospect of where they are and how they think. I don't know if they're going to work with them, but I want to find out what is driving them to continue to pursue what they're doing. And then secondarily, what do they do when they're not doing that? And I mean, I can kick myself in the butt for not having applied that in the last project that I did with the person who's not on today. And one of the things I didn't realize was he didn't want to stop working 80 to 90 hours a week. And he alienated his family because of it. But I didn't understand that.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Thanks, Ed. Who are you going to toss it to?
Let's see. who do we have?
Mike, Teresa, and Larry.
Is Larry still there?
Yep.
No, I got off a few minutes ago. My avatar is hanging in. That's yesterday's conversation with, you know what this is for George, Eric, Mike. Today is very helpful to remind us when we, as a summit building committee, that everything we do, this has to be infused into it. The language of the conversation, the emotion, all that has to be still the technical outcome part of our sessions at the summit.
100%, man. Thank you, Larry.
Teresa. And we'll go to Teresa.
Thanks, Larry. My takeaway always, this goes back to the keyword that I like to use, triage. And I think we're all doing it in a different way, but the triage methodology applies to all of us. It's just in our different proprietary methodologies we use it. But perfect example, just to remember the human aspect of it. Walked in to see a business owner getting ready to schedule their meeting. They definitely wanted to have evaluation done. Wife's running the practice. Go back 3 months later as I'm supposed to. Husband has passed away as the doctor. So when you talk about that human element, sometimes people are ready, but it's those things that are unexpected. So for me, I just go back to the word triage and really know where people are and what they want to do when they want to do it, because time is inevitable for those things. So I'm going to pass it to Mike to help us finish strong.
Well, I'm going to pass it to George when I'm done. George, you're not accepted either. So my takeaway.
Thank you, Teresa.
This Coffee Klatsch is my favorite part of Growth Drive. George.
Yeah, I look forward to this conversation every week, and I'm really grateful to all of you for participating. And as our group, as this expands, a reminder that my key takeaway is always remember that it's about people. And if we think about, I know I'm a broken record, but the integrated strategic capacity doctrine is people, technology, right? And the better we can act as a fist, as people, and not as individuals, the more effective we can be, and the more fulfilling our lives become, and the more we change the way we experience our jobs, and important, the way our clients experience and feel about their life's work, right? Their job. And this is a fantastic, an especially good Klatsch, and it is. I try never to miss one of these. This is great. Thank you to each and all. And with that, we're 3 minutes over. Thank you all. If there's anything I can do to help,
a great day
here. And so,
George, I dropped an infographic into the chat just now. I was doing something to try to define the 7 steps and the integrated strategic doctrine, and this is what Claire came up with for me. It was unexpected that she would come up with an infographic. So.
I don't see it, Paul.
Yeah, could you?
I didn't see it.
Well, that's because I didn't send it.
Yeah, there you go.
The sending thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tricky.
Oh,
Awesome.
Claire created that?
Yeah.
Just now?
Not just now, a couple days ago when I was doing it.
Fascinating.
But you had Claire created exclusively, Paul?
I asked her.
This isn't your crayon box?
I asked her to describe to me the integrated doctrine and the 7 steps. I love the number 7.
Dude, that's badass.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I love it.
I'm just saving this to my desktop.
Oh my God. Export is PDF right now.
George, that's 100% share on Circle right there.
Yeah, Paul, please, if you're willing, please share it on Circle.
Yeah.
That is absolutely awesome.
I love this. I'm about to jump on with our engineers to talk about the Anthropic portion of Claire as our Claire technology. Cool. All right. This is great, guys. Thank you so much.
We have a great day.
We'll talk soon.